Evening. It's Wednesday, August 31st, 2022. This is the regular meeting of the Mayor and Council of Ramsey. This meeting is also being conducted telephonically. The dial-in number is 425-436-6365, and the access code is 213563. The meeting may also be viewed on the Ramsey YouTube channel. Can I please have a roll call?
Mayor Dillon.
Here.
Councilwoman Cusick, but she's not here. Councilman Gutwetter.
Here.
Councilman Kilman.
Here.
Councilwoman Poppy.
Here.
Councilman Weber.
Here.
Councilwoman Woods.
Here.
Thank you. Oh boy, where's open public meeting? Mayor, do you have open public meeting?
Should be there.
Oh, I have it. Yeah, sorry, my fault.
The next one, yeah.
Got it. Okay. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of all citizens to have advance notice of and to attend all meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting the public is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, notice of this meeting of the Mayor and Council was published in the Bergen Record and Ridgewood News on Friday, January 15th, 2022. All right, we do the flag salute. I'll ask Mr. Martone to lead us.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have approval of minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from July 27th, 2022.
Thank you.
I second.
All right, do we have any comments on the minutes? Okay, not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gutwetter.
Yes.
Councilman Kilman.
I abstain. I was absent from that meeting.
Councilman Weber.
Yes,
I'm sorry, excuse me, Councilwoman Poppy.
Yes.
Councilman Weber.
I'm still a yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to go out of order to do special presentations?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to go out of order for a special presentation.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, gentlemen. Anybody would like to join me?
I'd like to introduce these three new men. Josh, Luke, and Nathaniel. These guys took it upon themselves as part of a TISBIT project to do a benefit for the Ramsey recycling, and they said eliminate standing across the street from Finch Park. Smart businessmen that they were, they picked the hottest day of the summer. They raised over $265, which they donated to the Ramsey Recycling Committee to buy the recycling things. I just want to say what a great job they did, and I also want to point out that Josh's older brother Ryan helped out on the project, and Luke's younger sister over there, Courtney, was also very instrumental in helping out on the project. So what they did, I thought it was fantastic. I thought the idea was great, and I thought that, for young men going into fourth grade to come up with that idea and do something not for themselves, but for the community was just something that they should be very, very proud of, and their parents are very, very proud of, I'm sure. So, Mayor.
Thank you. Excuse me, why don't you just step down so you're in the middle of the camera?
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, so gentlemen, thank you for everything that you did and for being such good members of the community and helping recycle, because that's how we take care of our community. Everybody plays a part. So you don't even realize that we can move on to things. So thank you. Not often that we have people that are from skaters that will volunteer in the community. So thank you very much. So I have certificates of appreciation for you, of actually certificates of achievement. Luke, come on up. So congratulations. Okay, Josh. And of course, Nathaniel. Come on up. Okay,
Why don't-
wanna get a picture?
Yeah, why don't you have them come out?
Come on up, gentlemen.
Come on, Luke, come on, Courtney.
Yeah, turn around.
Here's all that.
Here, focus. That happens. We'll get it done. So, here, hold on. Yeah, so hold it like this so that everybody can see the seal. Okay? That way you can see the seal. Wait, we'll put it in, don't worry.
get reason to do this.
Of course, come on up. Courtney, come on up.
That's the truth.
Here, sit right for me. Thank you. Can you please take a picture? Yes. We would love to see them. Okay. So definitely send us a picture. We love to see them. And of course, we'd love for you to stay if you like, but we won't be offended. Don't worry, you don't have to stick around for the photo meeting. Okay, now, thank you.
Thank you.
Regular school. You starting Gator this year?
There's just some silks.
Yeah, that's a great school.
Everyone looks a little bit over that school.
They're not buying it. They're not buying it.
All right, Gina, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, why do I not have sound on YouTube?
My kids were older when we went to Vader. I don't know. Really little.
Right. Do we have communications?
We do have communications, Madam Mayor. I move that the communications listed on the agenda tonight be received and filed.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Do we have any comments on the communications?
Mayor Dillon, the only thing I would say is on item number 1, it was a pleasure to represent you and the council at the Eagle Scout ceremony that was held for Eric Jaxell.
Eric Matthew Jaxell, yes.
Slow down. It was a wonderful ceremony. He just really a remarkable young man. I think he's very, very articulate, very mature. It was a wonderful event. I think these Eagle Scout ceremonies always are, and I just wanted to congratulate him again.
All right, thank you.
Madam Mayor, I also have a comment. I was particularly moved by number 3, where a resident wrote in regarding our Ramsey DPW worker, Alan Geisenheimer, who witnessed an accident where this resident was hit and someone ran a stop sign, and he immediately went over and stayed with this person until the ambulance came, and this resident was very moved by that and felt very comforted that person stayed with him. So it caught my attention. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. I'd like to mention one thing also on number 6, the Meals on Wheels of North Jersey. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary. Years ago, I was involved with this when I was the president of Junior Women's Club, and I was also just moved to see that they are still going strong, and I would encourage anyone to get involved if they have time.
Thank you. All right, and of course, we say with regret that Officer Struble has resigned from our police department. We're sad to see him go, but he's actually going to be a police officer in Wayne, where he's from, where he grew up, and he wanted to be back in Wayne. So, yeah, oh well. And also, well, we'll be able to get to say nice things about Lieutenant Paredes closer to the date of his retirement in December. All right, anybody else? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Gottwetter,
Yes.
Councilman Kilman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy,
Yes.
Councilman Weber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes.
And just for you, for the shade tree appeal, just to let you know, that'll come under new business at the end of the meeting, right? But we should get through this next part of the meeting pretty quickly. Okay, public comment. Anyone wishing to address the governing body, please give your name, spelling the last name, and address as a courtesy to all present. Please speak in an audible tone and address your comments to the chair. There will be a 5-minute time limit per speaker, unless reduced because of the volume of business on the agenda. Please note, public comment is your time. Out of respect and fairness to all, there will be no interruptions or questions answered during your time. No time shall be ceded to anyone else, and no time shall be saved for later use. Any responses may be given during the governing body's comments later in the meeting or as directed by the chair. The borough clerk is the official timekeeper. Okay, I don't see anyone in council chambers wanting to comment during public comment. Is there anyone on the telephone line that would like to comment? Second call for public comment. Third and final call for public comment. Not hearing any, I will close public comment. Thank you. Okay, advertise public hearing for final consideration of ordinance.
Oh, sorry. Motion to table the ordinance 13-2022, ordinance 13-22, an ordinance authorizing the transfer of 13 North Central Avenue in the Borough of Ramsey, Bergen County, New Jersey, to Ramsey Housing Incorporated, so as to provide an independent living facility for individuals with developmental disabilities in the borough.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Borough Administrator, would you like to comment on that, please?
Sure. Mayor, I would just mention that the reason that the borough is recommending tabling this ordinance is at this point, Ramsey Housing still has pending grant applications, construction plans, and financing program that all have not quite been finalized. So at this point, I think we would recommend to table this ordinance until those things are all finished off and buttoned up, and then the transfer of the property would be able to be completed.
Perfect. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gottwetter,
Yes.
Councilman Kilman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy,
Yes.
Councilman Weber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes.
Thank you. I make the following appointments, which I'm very happy to make. Justin Taylor is a permanent police officer of the Ramsey Police Department. Timothy Riley, permanent police officer, Ramsey Police Department. And Zachary Stribble, permanent police officer of the Ramsey Police Department. This was just a formality for Officer Stribble since he's left us. Liam Grubb, Ramsey Rescue Squad. Dylan Hunt, Ramsey Rescue Squad. David Miller, Ramsey Rescue Squad. Stephen Bennett, Ramsey Office of Emergency Management. Michael Herbst, Office of Emergency Management. Consent resolutions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Be it resolved that resolutions 165, 2022 through and including 182, 2022, having been considered by the governing body of the Borough of Ramsey, be and are hereby passed and approved. We have a special permit. The Eastwick College Surgical Technology Department is requesting permission to hold a walkathon in their parking lot on Wednesday, September 21st, 2022. They're raising money for Smile Train Children's Charity. And we have several block party requests. B. Erie of Buckingham Drive is requesting permission to have a block party on Saturday, September 10th, 2022 from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. R. Leon of Tulip Street is requesting permission to have a block party on Saturday, September 24th, 2022 from 12:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. And B. Hazenetz of Twinbrook Court is requesting permission to have a block party on Saturday, September 17th, 2022 from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. That would be it.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any comments on the consent resolution? I would note that consent resolution 175-2022 is that we are approving the Board of Public Works recommendation for the 2022 sewer rate increase of 1.91%. Mr. Rose will talk about that more later. I just want to give everybody a heads up on that. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gottwetter,
Yes.
Councilman Kilman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy,
Yes.
Councilman Weber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, committee and liaison reports. Finance Administration, Councilman Gottwetter.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor, and good evening. For the library board, the summer reading program is wrapping up after today, and basket prize raffles will be drawn tomorrow. And this summer reading party for families was held on August 24th and was well attended. The final summer concert at Finch Park was held this past month, featuring a jazz funk quartet, and was well attended. The Friends of Ramsey Library will be sponsoring the Sunday concerts in the library each month from September through December. Check the library websites for dates and musical artists. The Harvest Festival will be on September 24th from 1 to 3:30 in the library's back parking lot. Parking will be available across the street. A genealogy workshop will be presented with 4 different topics and will be held on 4 Wednesday afternoons at 1 p.m. in late September and into October. Again, check the library website for more details on the topics. And lastly, September is Library Card Sign-Up Month. For the Rec Commission, all softball leagues have concluded. The Ramsey Run is in place for September 24th, and volunteers are needed to help. Online registrations are up to September 21st. The 10K is at 8 a.m. and the 5K is at 9:45 a.m. And the start and end of the runs will be at the municipal pool on Oak Street. The Halloween parade is being planned for October 29th with a parade and costume contest. And the Challenger soccer program to begin on September 17th and will run through November 12th. As for the pool commission, the final day of the pool season is this Monday. Kudos to Director Gary Bach and all those who helped and worked there to make this a very successful pool season. And they finally did get a day or a partial day of rain, so Gary got a little break. I think in conclusion, this was a very, very good weather summer. So all the events that were held outside by the library and the rec and the pool, they all got very good cooperation. Lastly, I'd just like to congratulate all the appointees listed on the agenda this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Safety, Councilman Kilman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a report from former councilman and military veteran Joe Verdoni. VFW Post 12148. On Sunday, August 14th, the VFW members set up a booth at the Ramsey Farmers Market. They had a very successful day selling patriotic shirts and receiving poppy donations. And plans are underway for the VFW Post to march in the Ramsey Day Parade, and will also set up a booth selling patriotic shirts and looking for poppy donations. And that's his report. I also want to congratulate Officers Taylor, Riley, and Struble, notwithstanding the fact that Officer Struble will be leaving us. Congratulate Mr. Grubb, Hunt, and Miller to the Ramsey Rescue Squad, and Mr. Bennett and Herbst to the Ramsey Office of Emergency Management. And that concludes my brief report. Thank you.
Thank you. Building, Planning, and Zoning, Councilwoman Woods.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Design Review Board had one application before them this month for a boutique going up on Main Street called Fado. Their clothes are very cute. So they came before us for a new sign. And that's all we had. The seniors continue to be super busy. Their picnic is on Wednesday, September 7th. And Mayor and Council, some of us will be helping with setup and serving. They have a band playing called the Hip Replacements. Should be fun. Things are progressing with the horseshoe pits. The sod is going in, and they're trying to keep that going with no rain. And Senior Olympics, the deadline was actually August 26th. I don't know that we have people, but they were really trying to get people to come. But unfortunately, it's the same weekend as Ramsey Day. They're also gearing up for Ramsey Day with Crafty Sisters, going to be selling some goodies, and their schedule is just so busy. They do have tickets secured for their first trip into the cities in the last 2 years to go see a play. So I'm very excited for them. And they have an active book club now. Things are really moving quickly there. The Zoning Board of Adjustment did not have a meeting since our last meeting, so I have nothing to report there. And I would just like to congratulate all of the wonderful people that serve our community that were noted tonight. There's too many to mention, but thank you.
Thank you. Utilities, Buildings, and Grounds. I'll report for the Board of Public Works. We're continuing with the lead service line replacement as mandated by the state. Did mention that the Board of Public Works wanted an increase, and they've just been doing their regular stuff, so nothing too exciting going on there. Anybody else for Councilwoman Cusick? No? Okay, thank you. Public and Governmental Relations, Councilwoman Poppy.
Okay, so we have Ramsey Day is coming up on September 10th. We had our Ramsey Day meeting just before this one. We will have the parade assembling at 10 a.m. on Maple Street near the intersection of Cleveland. And then the parade will start at 10:30 a.m. The Chamber of Commerce is working hard on organizing Taste of Ramsey, which will be held at Finch Park on September 25th, which is a Sunday. The Ramsey Municipal Alliance had an update for us today. They recently wrapped up their parenting and mental health class series in collaboration with HARP and the Board of Health, held at the Ramsey Senior Center. The program was well received, but participation was limited. They will be at Ramsey Day, as well as having a table at the Ramsey Farmers Market on October 2nd. Their Parent Academy date changed from October 12th to December 9th. Stephen Hill and his father will be presenting. Stephen Hill is now a member of the Ramsey Municipal Alliance. He's in recovery, and he's a great asset to the community and the Alliance. He's doing a lot of youth programming up at the high school, and they're very happy to have him. And then the Municipal Alliance also sponsored 4 students to participate in the LMTI Youth Leadership Conference using funds for their new leadership grant. They plan to implement programming based on the action plan they developed at the conference. And the Smith School will again participate in Red Ribbon Week this October, and the Alliance will provide supplies. I would also like to congratulate our extensive list of appointees to the borough organization. So thank you.
Thank you. Health, Education, Social Services, Councilman Weber.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to thank Josh Alto, Luke Wren, and Nathaniel Chapina again for what they did, raising money over the summer for the to donate to Ramsey Recycling. I said my words when we were presenting, but I'd also like to thank Jim Truth and Tom Lanning of the DPW for helping to facilitate that project and working with the young men to get the can purchased and installed. With regards to Ramsey is for Everyone, we had our annual Rife Barbecue and Pool Party on Wednesday, August 17th at the Ramsey Pool. We had well over 100 people showed up for swimming, barbecue, and general good time. A big thank you to you, Madam Mayor. I think we made a great team getting those burgers flipped and onto rolls and then onto the plates.
Yep.
Two-man wrecking team.
And hot dogs too.
And hot dogs too. We have Bill Ahern, Angela Weber, Glenn Karpovich, Umberto and Marco Portillo, and of course my really dear friend Glenn Popolo, making it a great event for everybody. It's been a great family fun event for the last few years, and I just want to thank Gary Bach and the whole community pool committee for their continued generosity and support of this event for us. Councilman Gutwetter mentioned it, but we'll be starting up the Challenger soccer season on Saturday, September 17th at 3 o'clock over the Dater School Field, and we'll run until mid-November, and we are looking forward to getting it started. And we'll be meeting probably the first Wednesday or the second Wednesday in September to start planning out our our fall social calendar. With regards to the Ramsey Board of Education, the Ramsey Board of Ed met last night on August 30th to officially announce the appointment of Dr. Andrew Matteo as the new superintendent of schools for the Ramsey School District. He will officially take over in January with the retirement of Dr. Matthew Murphy. Dr. Matteo also reviewed the new school curriculum program for the 2022-2023 school year, which will be made available to everybody on the Ramsey School District website. The Ramsey School District has invited all residents to a celebratory ribbon-cutting event on next Thursday, September 8th. The ceremony will take place at 7 o'clock, followed by self-guided tours that'll go until about 9 o'clock, where visitors are encouraged to check out the new CAD lab, the STEM lab, the Jim Grasso Wellness Center, and the newly refurbished Main and Mitchell gymnasiums. And just finally, just remind everybody that schools do open next week officially, and to drive safely. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, and I'll echo all the congratulations to all the appointees on tonight's agenda.
No worries. Okay, and my remarks, I echo what Councilman Weber said regarding the Rife Pool Party. It was a great event, very well attended. We had people attending from Paramus, Fairlawn, Wyckoff, Mawa, Franklin
Coming down
Lakes.
from New York now too. We have some from New York.
Wow.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, Glenn's done a great job of He can hear me, I know he can.
You can hear.
He coordinates with the coordinators of other towns, and we try to coordinate our calendars to make sure that we don't overlap. If another town is having a big event, we try not to schedule anything, so that creates more options for all the kids to participate in events.
Well, it was a great event, as it always is, and thank you to Gary Bach and everyone at the pool for making it happen, because we can't do it without them. Congratulations to Justin Taylor, Timothy Riley, and Zachary Struble. It's always wonderful when we name new permanent officers to the Ramsey Police Department after successfully completing the probationary period. Thank you and congratulations to Liam Grubb, Dylan Hunt, and David Miller for Ramsey Rescue Squad. And thanks and congratulations to Stephen Bennett and Michael Herbert for the OEM. And I do want to recognize Gary Bach and his staff and Matt Latham and the staff of the library for all the wonderful events and programs they did over the summer, both the pool and the library. It's amazing the level of programming that comes out of the Pool Commission and the library. It really is amazing. So thank you. I want to congratulate and thank Luke, Josh, Nathan, Nathaniel, Ryan, and Courtney for the lemonade sale. They did a wonderful job. And I do want to remind everybody that September 11th is coming up. Our annual 9/11 ceremony will be on September 11th at the 9/11 Memorial at Finch Park, and it will be at 5 o'clock. Normally we do it at 6 o'clock, but because it's a Sunday, we'll start an hour early at 5 o'clock. So I encourage everybody to please attend if they can. Borough Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just touch on a couple of resolutions that we haven't spoken too much about, but Resolution 175, we talked about the Board of Public Works has recommended that there be a rate increase to water and sewer rates of approximately 2%, just under 2%. Resolution 175 deals with the sewer rates. At their August meeting, they did approve recommendations to both water and sewer, as I mentioned, just below 2% to help mitigate the inflation and operating costs of operating the water and sewer system. The board has not raised rates since 2019 in 3 years, and the mayor and council enacts the rate changes for sewer through a resolution and water through an ordinance. So this proposed change, though, does not include any funding for the new state mandate on the replacement of lead or galvanized water service lines that we've been discussing at both Board of Public Works meetings as well as mayor and council meetings with Councilwoman Cusick. The board will continue to review the financial impact of this law and identifying those service lines needing replacement, as well as review potential rate increases for this capital investment at a later date. So this is basically dealing with operating costs. The Resolution 175 is for sewer, and when we get to it, ordinance number 14 is for water usage rates. And again, one is done by reso and one by ordinance, and the water sewer rates. The water rates is a 1.99% increase. Again, has had no increase for 3 years. Okay. The other resolution I would comment on is Resolution 181, which awards a 2-year contract for the removal and disposal of leaves to Environmental Renewal. The borough went out to bid for a 2-year contract on the removal and disposal of leaves. The contracts for the pickup of leaves at the Ramsey Recycling Center and transportation to the ultimate licensed disposal site of the contractor. We received 3 bids. Environmental was the low bid. Environmental has held the previous contract with the borough, performed well under this contract. Environmental is the lowest responsible bidder. The borough qualified purchasing agent Jack D'Agostero and borough attorney Peter Scandariato both reviewed the bids and recommended approval based on their technical and legal reviews respectively. So that's why the ordinance was on, and rather the resolution was on and the contract approved earlier. The only other thing I would comment on, Ordinance 15, is an ordinance repealing and reestablishing Section 13-1.2 of the Borough Code regarding fee schedules in the construction department. As part of a state-recommended 3-year fee reviews of fee schedules, construction official Ralph Venturini is recommending some changes in certain fees, as well as a reorganization of how the fee schedules are calculated and presented in the code book. The revised schedule is more simplified, fair, and just, and has been designed to be income neutral, with some fees increasing and some decreasing. The result will be a more in will be more in line with the state recommended rate schedules and those of our neighboring municipalities. And that would be ordinance 15, 2022, up for introduction later in the meeting. And that's all I have at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Borough Attorney? Thank you. Borough Clerk?
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Introduction of ordinances. We'll introduce ordinance 14-2022.
And that would be me. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 19 of the Code of the Borough of Ramsey, Bergen County, New Jersey, and more specifically subsection 19-2.1 thereof, entitled Fees for Water Usage, pass the first reading by title, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage and adoption at a regular meeting of the mayor and council to be held on the 14th day of September, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time or as soon after as the matter can be reached at the municipal building in said borough. And be it further resolved that the borough clerk be, and she hereby is, instructed to publish in the official newspaper of the borough in a manner provided by law, a copy of said ordinance together with a notice of introduction thereof and a notice when the same will be considered for final passage and adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Any comment in addition to Mr. Bozay's?
Nothing in addition to his comment, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gutwetter,
Yes.
Councilman Kilman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy,
Yes.
Councilman Weber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 15-2022.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 13 of the Code of Borough of Ramsey, Bergen County, New Jersey, entitled Building and Housing, so as to repeal and reestablish Section 13-1.2 thereof, entitled Fee Schedules. Pass the first reading by title, and that said ordinance be further considered for passage and adoption at a regular meeting of the mayor and council to be held on the 14th day of September 2022, 7:30 p.m. prevailing time, or as soon after as the matter can be reached at the municipal building in said borough. And be it further resolved that the borough clerk be, and she hereby is, instructed to publish in an official newspaper of the borough in the manner provided by law, a copy of said ordinance, together with notice of introduction thereof, and notice when the same will be considered for final passage and adoption.
Thank you. Second?
Second?
Right, any comment in addition to Mr. Bozay?
No, nothing.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Gutwetter,
Yes.
Councilman Kilman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy,
Yes.
Councilman Weber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes.
Thank you. We don't have any unfinished business. We'll move on to new business, which is the shade tree appeal. I'm going to call the appeal to order. This is the appeal of Jonathan and Danielle Creel, 306 Elizabeth Avenue, from the Shade Tree Commission's denial of an application to permit a tree removal so as to allow expansion of their driveway. So, Mrs. Creel, do you have an opening statement?
Thank you. I'm here to appeal the decision about taking down a tree on the curved out edge of our driveway. Do I go into the reasons now?
That's fine.
The location of the tree is a safety hazard. It creates a blind spot and blocks the view for backing out and coming into the driveway. Just yesterday, a man stopped because I was backing out and couldn't see him or his small little Maltese dog. He did stop and wasn't moving, but it's nerve-wracking every time to park and get out of that angle of that driveway. We live along the bike path with many people and kids and pets constantly walking up and down our road. In addition, I know it's minor, my kids do not like playing in the driveway because they're constantly being attacked in the fall by acorns, and even today there was thick branches that fell down. So they're kind of uncomfortable with riding their bikes and stuff in the driveway and going out, and I don't really want them riding in the roads. We are willing to take down the tree at our own expense, and we are willing to plant a new one away from the driveway, so it's not impeding our view for pulling out of the driveway and coming into the driveway, as well as not harming anybody who's walking in our driveway to just get into our house. And I have pictures from along the way. I don't know if I think my husband brought pictures last time, of the different houses on our block. I walked up and down the street, Pretty much all the houses have a straight through to back out and in. Ours is a curved angle, so it makes it kind of like a little difficult. And anybody that does have a tree, and there's not too many, it's still further back than our tree. Ours is like right on the edge.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. You'll have an opportunity to speak again, too, especially if any members of the mayor and council have questions, okay? Thank you. All right, for the Shade Tree Commission, is that Mr. Geist?
Sure, if it's okay, I was going to give just a brief overview and then have Mr. Martone go on
Sure.
to specifics, if that's
That'd be
okay.
great.
And then, of course, let the resident speak again. I'm Jared Geist, I'm the attorney for the Ramsey Shade Tree Commission, and the Shade Tree Commission asked me to come today to just briefly go over why we're here and what happened. And then Mr. Martone, the vice chairman of the commission, wanted to get more into the specifics of the application. I've been the attorney for about 10 years. I think this is the first time we've ever had an appeal that went to the mayor and council, but that's the process. If there's an application denied before the shade tree, that it would go to the mayor and council, so that's why we're here. There's really only, commercial properties aside, for residential properties, there's mainly two reasons. There might be other odd ones, but there's mainly two reasons why someone would have to go to the shade tree to get a permit to remove a tree. One is if they're removing more than 6 trees on their property, and the other is if they're removing a borough tree. In this case, it's technically a borough tree. That's why they had to get permission because of where it's situated near the road. So had it not been a borough tree, they could have just taken the tree down and went about their business. But this is a borough tree, so they need permission from the shade tree. The shade tree's criteria, for as long as I've been involved and much before from historical records, is that if the tree's healthy, they usually bend over backwards to protect borough trees and not allow them to be taken out. This tree was healthy. The borough arborist did a report, presented it to the Shade Tree Commission, and said there was no health issues with the tree at all. And they also said there was no safety issues. So I respect all the concerns they have, and it's the mayor and council's decision. That's why we're here for the appeal. But the experts involved said there weren't safety issues and the tree was healthy. So they
Explain to
denied-
me what you mean by safety issue. Are they traffic experts? Or is it a safety issue that a branch isn't going to fall off the tree?
There was no traffic experts, to my knowledge, that provided any testimony. It was more of just safety, arborist of the tree. The arborist.
The health of the tree.
The health of the tree, that a branch
Not
isn't going to
dropping
fall
branches,
out?
right.
Okay,
Correct.
so that's the safety.
Correct. And that
Okay,
was really
thank
the criteria. They weren't, I think there was sympathy for the application, but they had 20 years of precedence or longer of denying applications when there wasn't, in their minds, health of the tree or safety issues, and that's why it was denied. I just wanted to go over that basic premise or answer questions, and Mr. Martone wanted to give a little presentation on the specifics of the application. Because he visited the property, saw the tree, and he has expertise in that area that I don't have. But legally, the Shade Tree Commission denied it, mainly based on precedence. They thought the tree was healthy. They didn't want to make exceptions when we get these about once or twice a year, and every time they've been denied, unless there is health issues with the tree, and then those are approved, and that happens sometimes too. But in this case, they said the tree was healthy and didn't pose a risk.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
If Mr. Martone can jump in, and thank you.
Sure.
We're going to have a case, and
Well, how do you want to do this?
I think.
Well, this is-
I think, Mr. Martone, I think that was essentially an opening statement.
Yes.
I think now we should hear from the applicant as to why it should be granted. Then any questions, and we'll hear from you.
Perfect, thank you. Mrs. Creel?
So like I said before, I just feel that it should be removed because it's a safety hazard for going in and out of the driveway for driving and for my kids to ride their bikes because of the angle of it. And we're also like on the bend of Elizabeth, if you know the street. And sometimes cars are coming a little fast around. I don't need my child being hit. I don't need to hit anybody. And I do go out really slowly. But like I said, I didn't even see that person the other day. Thank God they were stopped. So it's really frustrating and upsetting every time to have to worry about that.
Now, I understand you would take the tree down at your own cost.
Yes.
Are you willing to put up another tree?
Yes, away from the driveway, out of my view.
Okay,
Okay.
of course.
Do you intend to expand this driveway? I mean, are you going to cover over where the tree was and?
Yeah, just
Make the
slightly,
driveway
because it's
bigger?
the angle,
Okay.
because it's angled out. Like it's the driveway's cut and the tree's kind of like cut into it.
Your-
It's like a weird cutout.
The driveway would stay essentially the same width it is. It would just be the full length of the driveway.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
way.
essentially it would make, so we could fit 4
Right.
cars into the driveway. That's the aim, because we have 2 children. Eventually they're going to get their license. So we want to make sure that we have room for everybody and people coming in. So yeah, it would expand just for the fact to fit 2 on top of it.
And the tree that you'd replace, if indeed we went that way, would be under the guidance of the Shade Tree Committee, how they specify diameters and things of that nature.
Yes.
So you're repaving the driveway?
Yeah, there's a huge, it's all ripped up at the end.
And from when I said, there are overhead wires that come from the street to your house?
Yes, there are overhead wires.
Is that close to the tree? It
Yes.
looks-
There was just an accident actually during COVID when I was trying to do my own teaching and I lost power to the house because somebody hit the telephone pole across the street and pulled the wire and we had to wait and then it was hanging by the tree and stuff.
Any other questions?
I think I have a question for Mr. Martone.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Gutwerder, did you have any questions? Councilwoman Hoppy?
Yeah, I think I have a couple questions here. I visited your house, and from my recollection, I could sort of see where the car that, when you pull the car to the right, unless you're going to line up directly behind the car to the left, then when you come down the driveway and then you pass the tree, or you're looking at cars coming to your right, from your right, right side? I'm the driver now, and I'm just looking this way.
Yeah.
If I look left, I'm fine. There's no
Right.
tree there. I look right, I can see where there's an
And
obstruction.
right brings you out to the main road instead of looping around to like all the dead ends. and
Correct.
Circling around.
Correct. And where the car to the right is situated, I'm just looking at the picture here from my recollection, there's no second garage.
No.
But in essence, the area where the car is occupied would be where there was, if there was a second garage and there was a full-length driveway. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Like,
if
there's no-
they did add,
Like if you added a garage onto this, or
Right.
added a garage port or a carport on the
Right.
right side of your house.
it
if
would
you had-
go to that side of the
It would be
house.
on there, so you're just trying to extend the driveway to make it, to accommodate two cars on each side.
Right.
And be able to come back, in and out of the driveway.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
She answered mine.
Okay.
Well, actually, I did have one other question. I
Okay.
don't remember this, the wires, because I had this situation in my own house recently where, a tree had to come down because it was above the wires, and it was actually a dead tree. So, because of that, I had to have it come down in fear that it was gonna, branches would come off and hit the wire. So there is a picture here that does show a wire up in the air, I think it is.
Mhm. And there's branches.
Is there any,
over it.
are there wires right over the tree itself?
They're all like under it, under the branches.
They're under the branches, and it then connects to
It connects
to
my
the side of the house?
into, like,
I
a
could sort of
telephone.
see on the right side
Yeah.
here. where there's
Next
no
to the
connection.
house.
Yeah, that was ripped off on their car accident from across the street.
Okay. I got you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone from the,
Anyone from the public have any questions for Mrs. Creel? For the applicant? Okay, not hearing anyone. Anyone on the line have any questions for the applicant? Second call? Third and final call? Not hearing any. Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Martone?
We'll start with questions you might have or things I want to say.
No, you have to say.
Okay. So we went and visited the site, and the telephone and high power lines are on the opposite side of the street, to set the record straight. And in this, I have 20 years of experience. Every house has one wire going to its house, which brings in the power. That's the wire you see in the picture. The town elevates, as needed, every single tree that's got a wire going to the house, if it's our tree, to keep it clear. Because you couldn't have every tree disappear because there's too many houses, okay? So that issue, as far as we were concerned, wasn't an issue because we always look for wires and say, hey, you know what, this tree shouldn't have been planted here 20 years ago. Because the shade tree, over 25 years, has grown into a, what's the right tree on the telephone pole side of the street kind of thing. Having said that, we looked at this, and I always look at things from the perspective of the shade tree, but also me as a resident homeowner. What would I be doing, asking, thinking, if I lived there, kind of thing. And the driveway is 20 foot wide by the garage and 12 foot wide at the entrance. Their wish is to make it 20 and 20, so as they said, 4 cars someday could fit. But the tree is a majestic oak in completely good health, and therein lies the rub. While I'm not the official zoning officer, police officer who decides for the town line of sight, I still have some expertise and an opinion because I do it all the time, but obviously the police chief would be a better person to say finalize that aspect of it than me. But I stood there, and when you back your car up, and I know because I live on a corner of Darlington Avenue, so I know what it is to back out onto a busy road. You have a good line of sight if you back your car out and stop and take a look. You have a blind spot for 3 feet when your window passes the tree. I see, I don't see, I see again. That's the nature of what it is backing out of that spot. That's all that I have relative to this one particular home. In keeping with what the shade tree has done over 20 years, we give permission to remove a town tree if it's obviously sickly, but also 2 other situations pop up. The sidewalk is 4 feet up in the, I'm exaggerating, 4 inches up in the air, so somebody's going to break their neck. Or the root system is destroying the person's home. Those are 2 perfectly good reasons to take the tree out. That's not the case here. And then we have what we call past practice. We've denied, and I can give an example. One time somebody came in, they moved into town and they wanted the tree removed because it had acorns. And I said, when you buy a house, you buy the pluses and the minuses, the house on the block you can afford with the parameters that suit you and your husband. And you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. Nobody has the perfect situation. We're not taking a tree down because it drops acorns. That's an old story, but it ties into the thing. So we also walk the block. On this very block, there are at least 4 or 5 houses that have a single width driveway because of the presence of a town tree. If we say yes to this, then every single person on the block would have the same right to say, I want my tree down, I want to make my driveway double width also. And that's just one street in town. That was the reason between the health of the tree, the past practice, the problems going forward, that the committee unanimously did not vote to say yes. And believe me, we usually look, is there a way we can say yes? Not is there a way we can say no? And so that's how it came out. Now I'm open to your questions.
Anyone have any questions for
I have
Mr.
a
Martin?
In the past, you say that you've denied applications where there's, they want to increase the width of their
That's one example.
driveway.
Another one, we had somebody wanted to put a walkway in and take out 3 town trees to do it. That's just, it depends on the situation. It is denied based on the fact that the right-of-way is where we put the trees for a reason. If the trees are not in the right-of-way, they're your trees, you can do what you want with them. Just like I'm not allowed to go stick a tree in the town right-of-way. I
Right.
can't say I'd love to have one, I'm gonna stick it right here. Technically, that's wrong. So that's the way we look at it.
So my question is, have you denied applications in the past where the applicant has expressed concerns about the sight lines coming out of the driveway and being uncomfortable or feeling that there's a dangerous situation?
And I can't remember when. I can't remember one time somewhere in the past where somebody brought up a sightline issue and we had the police chief look at it. Okay, I can't tell you what the resolution was or how that worked out because an awful lot of stuff comes through in 20 years. But yes, that question has come up at least once in my 20 years of doing this, where somebody had a sightline issue, okay? And I purposely prefaced everything I said tonight with, as far as I'm concerned, it's not the acorns. It's not the wish to have 20 feet wide. The sightline, if there's any merit to it, I can't tell you that because I'm not officially qualified.
Is there a reason why you didn't engage the
Because it didn't seem like
department?
an issue. I mean, when we see a sight line, we jump on it. I did not see a sight line because I walked the property and I could see myself backing out of there with no trouble. Okay? Unless you back out and you just blatantly commit to go, you back your car up, I can look right and left on that property, looking right to the tree. I can see down the street before I reach our oak tree. I do not see down the street for all of about 3 feet as I pass the oak tree. Well, by then you've already decided there's nobody coming and you're good to go. And it's not that big of a curve that I can't see. I can see. So I did not see it as an issue, and neither did Mr. McMahon.
Did you actually back up a car from the
No, I
driveway?
went and walked in the driveway and stood there as if I was in a car.
Mhm.
Because that was the day we happened to be out, and Mr. McMahon is another commissioner. We happened to be out together, protecting all the new trees that were put in the ground this year, and that's when we noticed everything. So there were two sets of eyes on this that day.
Because one of my first thoughts when I saw that was I was concerned about
Yeah.
sightlines myself when I went down that block. That's why
Yeah.
I ask if you've had these applications in the past where the concern was sightline, if those were indeed approved.
I can only think of one issue where it came up, and I cannot tell you how it was resolved. I'm being honest on that, okay? Most of the time, it's not the issue, okay? Most of the time, it's disease, destruction. A couple of times, it's a whim, and we say, no, it's just a plain whim, okay? That's about it. I mean, as a mayor, councilor thinking on this, it may well mean that the next best thing is to have the police chief take a look and give his professional opinion, because as far as I know, no one on the mayor and council, no one on the Shade Tree Commission is certified to sign off on a line of sight issue. The police chief is. So, yes.
Martone, Mr. Geis mentioned this in his opening statement, but what determines that it's a town tree versus a residence tree? I drive by, what?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Did you answer the question?
That was just because if it's in our right.
What
It's in
is-
the right of way.
The right of way is determined by the street they're on. It's not a given finite number, but I'll give you a ballpark, okay? It could be as much as 26 feet from the center line of the road, or it could be 10 feet from the curb. Each street in town is unique, and when we doubt ourselves, we purposely call the borough engineer who gives us the exact number for that particular street. All right, but a rule of thumb is you got a curve, go back 10 feet. All right, and this one is obviously so close, you don't have to think about it.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yeah, are these trees, was this tree existing? When you say it's a borough tree, did the borough plant it 25 years ago, or was it there and they built the street around it?
Well, the age of this tree is probably before me. There was no shade tree.
So it was left there?
Yeah, in
It
other
was-
words, the right-of-way exists for trees that are historic in nature as well as the ones that we've put in, okay? Most of what the borough has done proactively, I'm going to say, has about a 30 to 35-year history for shade tree, since we are one of the older commissions in the county. But this tree is much older. So, we've also had junk trees that need to come out because they are an invasive species. They were there before, and even though they're in the right-of-way, they shouldn't be there. We've also had trees that are sitting underneath the wires, and Rockland has done such a job trying to keep their lines clear that the tree is now a thing out of a fractured fairy tale and needs to come down for that reason alone. Those are anomalies from the past.
What is the average age of an oak tree?
Mature oak,
Yeah,
50 to 100 years. When you see something like that, yeah.
so you think it's at least 50?
At least 50 years old, yeah. And I can say that because I have a double trunk tree similar on my property. I've been here 45 years, and that tree was this big then, it's this big now, so it kind of gives you a feeling for age. They're a long, hardy, slow grower.
Mr. Jose?
Yeah, Mr. Martin, I listened to your meeting because, and I know you referenced the other houses on the street and you walked it. I did a drive-by on the street on other houses similar, and I just wanted to ask two things regarding that. The one thing I notice, but again, I drove it, I didn't walk it, you may have, but the other ones I saw, I think this one is more pronounced in the driveway than the others are, like, they're certainly indents more than the others. I think anyone whose driveway went around the tree was a little less than this one.
This one is a little more exacerbated, correct?
Yes. And the other thing I think is, and I agree with the precedent of other people may then come and do it. The one thing I also think is this one has more property, they own property to the right of that tree, whereas some of the other look like those trees are right, probably on property lines. So they really don't have the option to expand a driveway because the tree is on the property line. Here, it looked to me like their property extends fairly well to the right, where their driveway expansion, which would actually just even it out, is not going on to somebody else's property, where those other cases look like a lot of them were right, the driveways are right on the property line, or closer than this one is.
Correct.
Okay,
If mayor and council is looking for a way for credence, as we always are, line of sight is a big issue in this whole discussion. The property to the right of the driveway is your property, is it not?
Yes.
Which is a very adequate space, which is where I would recommend the replacement of it, okay? If that's the way the mayor and council decides to go, and it comes back to us, that would be my discussion with the other commissioners as to, we were overturned, and we're at the next step. I'm speaking my mind, not the mind of 6 commissioners, but pretty sure that I'm on the right page, so. That's it.
I have a question. And I know you don't have your ordinances in front of you, and I thank Councilman Weber for directing me to some of these. And I know Attorney Geist, you don't have it in front of you either, but in your shade tree ordinances 20-5-8, it talks about the reasons that you would appeal. And it goes down and it lists sewer line, it lists patio, it lists anything within 12 feet, and one of them is driveway. And I look at it, it doesn't talk about the health of the tree, it doesn't talk about anything else. I'm just a little, you think about that street, and I went to that street twice.
Right.
I listened to your minutes twice.
Right.
And as you know, I have a tremendous respect for the shade tree and what you guys do. But here you have a road that, obviously because it's an old oak tree, the road just is like inches, if not feet. Well, it's actually a few feet because there's a little rock patio around it and a flat. And then you have the driveway right there. So the driveway had to be constructed in a way or done to accommodate the tree. The road was done to accommodate the tree. And now we have a family that is looking to a situation where it falls within the ordinances, and we have a black and white thing here. But it also, you look at it and you say, okay, did you want to say something, or?
Yeah, the ordinance as it refers to driveway has nothing to do with changing the driveway, widening the driveway. It has to do with destruction of the driveway. So
new construction?
No.
Destruction.
If under the ordinance, somebody came in and said, I'd like this tree removed because it's messing up my driveway, and sure enough, they've got a maple tree, which is a shallow runner, and it's lifting the driveway, that's what it means by driveway. It doesn't mean change the footprint of the driveway. It's not why it's in there.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
No,
It's silent.
the wording may not say that, but that's the intent.
How can you
can I
say
know
what
that?
the intent is? You're not the drafter.
No.
Well,
Only
let
the
me-
drafter can give you intent.
Let me finish.
I was one of the drafters. The attorney, Mr. Scandariato, and our attorney will say, just because it
I'm
may
not
say
sure
something
it's
badly, it may say something badly, I'm only giving you the intent. The intent may not be what's correctly stated. The intent was to give relief whenever the driveway was getting messed up by the tree.
Yeah.
That's what the intent was. Now, if the wording
Not what
doesn't
it
say
says.
that, that's the fault of the ordinance as it stands. That's admitted.
Yeah,
For patio or driveway?
with all due respect to Mrs. Creel, I sort of discounted the acorn thing. I understand it when kids on a bike. It was more about, you've got 2 young girls, I believe, they're going to grow up, they're going to drive, you're going to have, and I'm thinking about how you get in and out of that driveway. And I understand what a family's concern is, and I understand the tree being there and the line of sight. And part of me is just more concerned with the fact that we can look at the codes and then we can look at what a family's need is in regards to that. And then I'm just trying to find the right balance between the direction we set as a borough and what we try to do for families in our town.
Agreed.
And trust me, I look at that oak, I look at that whole street, and it's a beautiful street of oaks. But I also need to understand what the real ask is here and why we would say no if it's just simply the health of the tree. And if that's simply the only reason.
No, it's not.
You know, because quite honestly, I don't see a stampede of people coming and making appeals. This is, as someone said, I've been on this council 7 years, this is the first one I've ever seen. And one of the things, when I went to the property and I stood there, I was thinking, Christ, if I got to back out of this driveway, I know, I hope I don't clip that tree, so and that's one of the things I had a concern about. But
So, sharing those concerns, as I said, we're always looking for ways to take it out just because we want it out opens up a Pandora's box. To take it out with just cause does not open up Pandora's box because it gives us a rationale for a situation going forward that says, I'm sorry, but this one doesn't mirror this one. That's why I keep coming back to line of sight. If line of sight is truly the issue, then it's a reason for mayor and council to override us and grant the removal of the tree, which doesn't set a precedent or a past practice because somebody else would have to have the same situation. Not just because, I'm sorry, I'm tired of acorns, I want that one out, which is flimsy. That's why I said that as a preference. But I'm not also a person to make that call.
Is your main concern with this the fact that it will provide a precedent for the future? Is that what your main concern is?
We have two concerns.
I'm sorry?
We have two concerns. We don't just willy-nilly remove a healthy.
Sorry.
We don't willy-nilly remove a healthy tree. One. The second is you always have to be concerned with past practice. That's obviously the concern.
I disagree with your interpretation
But I understand
of the ordinance regarding the driveway. Number one.
Well, that's the ordinance.
Number two is.
Wait, you're now you're testifying, so hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Is there anyone else have questions?
That's what I do.
For Mr. Martel? Anyone else?
No, I just want to say I understand your point. I understand the line of sight point. And we need to clarify that.
Do you have another question?
One other question. I'm not saying, I don't know if you're an expert to even testify on this, but the root system of an oak tree, typically, it's deep. It's not like a pine surface.
No, root system of an oak tree has a mass underground equal to the mass that you can see above ground. It's a deep runner. In a hurricane, a limb may snap, but only in a muddy situation where you see it uprooted. On the other hand, a tulip poplar, which looks just as mighty, has roots like a willow tree. We get a hurricane, boom, they come right out of the ground. We're always aware of what's going in the ground in our new plantings. Where does it sit? And, the oak tree, the correct oak tree, is one of the nicest trees you can put in the ground. We don't put any white or red oaks next to people's driveways in the last 20 years for a reason. They don't give baby acorns like the pin oak. They give the acorns we used to throw at each other as kids, and they dent cars. We don't put those into your driveway, period. This is a pin oak, no, maybe a white oak off the top of my head, or a red. But the point is, it was there before, not planted by the Shade Tree Commission. It would not have been a choice tree for that spot, period. Without the wires, we wouldn't have chosen it right there.
Anybody, any other questions?
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
You said earlier that there's no wires going to this house?
Other
Or the
than
wires across the street?
the wires across the street are your main power lines and your main communication lines. That's where the poles
So
are.
the phone and cable is
Yes.
across the street, so it's not going to the house?
What you see going to the house is the phone and cable going directly to the house from across the street.
And, right, it's their services going to the
That's the
house,
service to the
not
house.
the,
all right?
not the street utilities.
And our practice for every resident in town is if they have a borough tree, that the term is elevation. Every several years, we elevate the tree to make sure that the branches are not hanging over the wires, or that a dead limb is not sitting there waiting to take down the wires. Okay?
But that's a borough tree.
Right, if it's their own tree, it's their problem, obviously.
No, I'm thinking of it because when I said earlier that I had to take a tree down, and when I did call the shade tree on this, somebody did come by and they said based on where it was located, and I have a tree that's in very similar location to this, except it was further up the driveway, so it was a little bit away from the street. Maybe it's how many feet would you say this is?
Mike, what's the question?
The question I'm trying to is that ascertain is where is the purview of the shade tree in terms of where determining. I could see where you say this is a borough tree because it's so close to the curb.
As I said,
It's in the right of way. It's in the right of way. It is.
The right of way.
And you said also earlier something about number of feet from the middle of the street or something
Yes.
like that. What was that? What was that part?
Sometimes when there's no curve, you take the center line of the street as your measuring point, and you march it over and determine the borough right of way.
Okay.
The existing zoning officer, Jim Trout, does that for us when we're in doubt.
Okay.
If it's got a curve, 9 times out of 10, it's 10 feet from the curve.
Sure.
All our new plantings are planted. If you go around town and you see those gator bags, every single one of them is planted this side of the 10 feet on purpose.
Okay.
But I think we're all in agreement that this tree is in the borough's right of
Yes,
way.
This is definitely a borough tree in the right of way, pre-existence of town.
Mhm.
Not, right,
Got
not
it,
planted
got
by
it.
shade tree pre-existing.
Got it.
Now I know that as you said, this particular street does have some really nice, beautiful trees,
Mhm.
and there are some streets in the town where it looks like the trees are just like, where are they? Like there's like some streets have great trees and some streets just have like nothing. Like where do they go? So you sort of wondered, did residents just take them down arbitrarily without anybody noticing?
No,
That wouldn't happen.
no.
So you have to if it's your own tree and you do less than 6, you could just take them down arbitrarily. You could just take them down.
Within calendar year.
Right, and if they're not in the borough, but if they're a borough tree, you have to get borough permission first to take a tree down. Right.
Example, if you
I got it.
decided you wanted to expand your house, if you were going to expand your house, you would present a permit and a drawing to us showing good cause, I need 22 trees done. And it's kind of obvious you need 22 trees done because you can't build a house. That's different
Yeah, I got
from
it.
I just want to clear the property.
Okay,
Understood. Okay, any other questions for him?
okay, nope.
Thank you. Okay, anyone from the audience? And not hearing anyone in council chambers, is there anyone on the line that would ask questions of Mr. Martone? Second call for questions. Third call for questions of Mr. Martone. You're good. Before we go into closing arguments, I would like Borough Attorney to have a conversation with Mr. Geist. Mr. Geist, please. I want some clarification on the ordinance.
Yes. Mr. Geist, a couple questions regarding 20-5.8. I mean, clearly it says that if the property is going to be used for a driveway, that's one of the reasons an application should be granted. Do you agree with that?
I agree it's a reason for an appeal. I'm not sure I agree that it's a reason it should be granted. I think it's a consideration. And I can't,
Not what it says.
okay, I
Shade
can't,
Tree Commission shall consider.
I can't get into the intent. I wasn't involved in writing the ordinance. I don't know what the intent was. I rely on Mr. Martone's arguments about the intent. I don't know what the intent is, so I'm not going to pretend to know the intent. My impression was that a driveway was a reason for an appeal to consider. I didn't think it was automatic that because you're doing the driveway, it's
It
automatic.
says the Shade Tree Commission shall consider the following, and one of them is where the tree is located shall be used for a patio, driveway, or recreation area. It also says where it creates a hardship on the, upon the applicant or places the community in danger.
Sure, so the shade tree, I agree with all that. I guess it's just a different opinion of, that it's a consideration versus an automatic thing, and that they considered it and thought it didn't place anybody in danger, and that's why they made the decision they did. But I agree with what it says. And again, I don't think it's, I guess it was part of my limited closing argument was, that, I don't think it was really the shade tree's purview or budgetary reason or expense to hire traffic experts or do any of that. They hired an arborist.
You're the one who said safety. You're the one who brought it into play.
I did. And they go by, and there are times where there is safety issues of the tree, and the borough arborist will say, this tree's not safe, and they always unanimously say, take it down.
But
It's not
because
safe.
if we rely on
Yeah.
denying application, shouldn't
Sure.
there be an expert to talk about the line of sight, et cetera?
Sure, yes, and that's why I do kind of think that in all, the totality of everything, I would agree with Mr. Martone that the police chief would be qualified to do that. And I know we're here now for the appeal. If the borough thought it was appropriate, I would ask if they would consider talking to the police chief or having him give an opinion on that and then ruling on it based on that, if the mayor and council thought that was appropriate. But I don't think the shade tree had the resources to have that expert.
No
and we admit they
no
didn't.
one's saying that you do.
Sure. So but I would believe the police chief would be absolutely qualified to make that call.
Thank you. All right, do you have any closing argument?
That was really the closing argument, was to defer to the police chief and make the best decision you
All
can.
right, thank you. All right, Ms. Creel, any closing argument?
I just want to say I appreciate everybody's time tonight because this is taking a long time and into your evening. So I do appreciate everybody coming out and for us to listen to us for what's going on. But like I said, I do believe it is a site issue. I do it every day. I try to park out of my husband's way so he can respond to calls and get out quick. And that's why it's parked there on that angle. So it would just be easier if it's taken down because that sight line is, in my opinion, it's dangerous.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right. We're going to close the hearing. Do I have a motion to close the hearing?
Motion to close the hearing.
Close the
Jane.
hearing.
Second. Jane. Give it to Jane.
Barrett, Jane, and Harry. Okay, all right, thank you. So we're going to close the hearing. At this point, we're going to go into closed section, which is executive session, to discuss and then reach a conclusion, hopefully. I'm not sure. We'll see. And then we'll come out of closed session. Come again?
Then we'll go back and talk about.
And then we'll come back and talk about it. Okay, so if you just want to go wait outside. Everybody goes. Everybody goes. All right, thank you. Anything else?
No, I think I just need it.
Okay. All right, Mayor, tell us when it's off.
Do you want to read the resolution, Peter?
Yeah, you want?
Oh, yeah.
You want me to read the resolution?
I have it right
Yeah.
here.
You have one?
Oh, okay.
So once it's done, whereas the Open Public Meeting Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, whereas the public body have the opinion that circumstances presently exist, and whereas the government body wishes to discuss matters of litigation,
Potential litigation. Yeah, litigation.
And whereas the minutes we kept, well, what are you looking at? Whereas the minutes we kept it, and once the matter involving confidentiality no longer requires the confidentiality of the minutes to be public, now therefore be resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Ramsey, the public be excluded from this meeting introduced by.
Introduced by Councilwoman Woods and seconded by Councilman Weber. Okay, roll call.
Councilman Duttwetter,
Yes.
Councilman Kilman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Poppy,
Yeah.
Councilman Weber,
Yes.
Councilwoman Woods.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
The yes was just to come out of.
No, to go
Go
into,
into.
go into.
Now, hold on.
Go into, I got it.
Shutting this off?
Should I ask Joe if he can hear us?
No, I
Don't
just
I'm-
muted.
I'm connected and
It could be subject to open.
Hold on.
No, I'm connected. There's nothing coming through.
Okay, so I have it on the start screen, which just has the seal, and we're muted, but, because I don't know if we want to do two different recordings on YouTube. So do you trust that we stay on with being muted, or you want me to just close it and come back into another?
Close it and come back into
Okay.
another.
I'm on that call and I hear nothing coming through because you're muted, so I think you're good on the call.
All right, I want to close.